Hi everyone, I'm Kathrina, and to help celebrate Children's Book Month, Creativate invited me to answer some questions, so let's get started. This is the first question. What is your favorite thing about writing, and what are you inspired by? So one of my favorite things about writing is when one of my characters surprises me. Um, that tells me that they've come alive, and that's always quite magical, so that's one of my favorite things about writing. What am I inspired by? I am inspired by gaps. I'm inspired by gaps and absences, spaces in stories and histories that can be filled out by the imagination. So, sort of the edges where things get a little bit blurry, and then you can kind of carefully feel your way around and think, right, I think that's what could have happened there. So spaces like after the happily ever after, or before the once upon a time, or maybe even, I wonder what that dragon was doing all that time while waiting for the prince to come and slay him. So those gaps and absences are what inspire me as a writer. So the second question, was writing your hobby as a child? Writing definitely was one of my hobbies as a child, but I would say that my biggest hobby as a child was actually reading. I was a huge reader as a child, something that I think continues to this day. Um, I was really lucky to have parents who are also readers, and who used to take me and my siblings to the bookstores on Sundays. They got us library cards at Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka. I was also really lucky to go to a primary and a secondary school which had great school libraries. So I was a big reader as a child. And I think a lot of readers eventually do become writers, either because not no story really satisfies you completely, so you then have to go off and write your own, or maybe because after reading all of those words, they have to come out somehow, so they come out through writing. So yes, I was both a reader and a writer as a child, but I think it was definitely the reading that led to the writing. So the third question is, what makes a children's book special? And name 3 books that are must-reads for children. So I think with children's books, what makes them special is the time that they come into someone's life. Reading opens up entirely new worlds and possibilities and ways of being and seeing and understanding. And children's books are particularly special because they're opening up those windows for the very first time. You can definitely go back to those windows as an adult, and maybe sometimes you realize as an adult that you've outgrown those windows, or you don't like the view anymore, or the view has maybe become a little bit problematic. But children's books are special because the first time that you see that view is it's just really special. So timing is really important. I know certainly there are some books that I read now as an adult that I think, oh, I wish I had come to that when I was a little bit younger, or vice versa. You know, I read books now that I know I definitely wouldn't have been ready for when I was younger. So I think timing is important, and I definitely believe that the right books come to you at the right time. So in line with that, my 3 must-read books for children, and these are just based on books that I found really special as a child. They're books which open up possibilities of other worlds. So my 3 must-read books for children are Enid Blyton's The Magic Faraway Tree, the Harry Potter series, and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, which is part of the Narnia series. These are stories which open up the possibilities of other worlds in very literal ways through magic, and I think it was always fun as a child to wonder what if this door in real life actually opened up to somewhere else which I don't know about. So those are 3 books that I think are still really fun for children. Fourth question, what is one piece of advice for children who dream of being writers and parents who want to make reading fun? So I actually have 2 pieces of advice for children who dream of being writers. The first is to read a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. The more you read, the more tools you have. And the second piece of advice is to keep a little bit of your writing a secret, just a little bit. I think it's important to share your writing, but not all of it, just because when you're starting out writing, it's nice to keep a little bit of it a secret so that you know what you like and what you want to write before you start thinking about other people's opinions. And for parents who want to make reading fun for their children, I'm not very qualified to give any advice to parents because I'm not a parent myself, but I can share that what encouraged me as a reader when I was a child was when my parents would bring me and my siblings to the bookstore and let us pick out whatever we wanted, not what was good for us, but what we wanted to read, what was fun for us. And that was something that really encouraged us as readers, I think, from a very young age. So that's my advice. So thank you so much to Creativate for inviting me to answer these questions. And I just wanted to share a little bit more about my work. So I am a writer. I've written an illustrated short story called The Halfling King, which was published by Heartwrite Co., an independent local Bruneian publisher, in 2017. And it was illustrated by the extremely talented Winnie Cheng, and this is available in local bookstores. I'm also the author of, and I've printed out this cover because the book's not in print yet, but I'm also the author of The Fisherman King, which is a novel that was shortlisted for the Epigram Books Fiction Prize this year, and it will be published by them in the second half of this year. So that will be available in Singaporean bookstores and hopefully in local bookstores as well. And The Halfling King actually started out life as a part of this manuscript, and I took it out because I just thought that doesn't really fit there, so I took it out and it became a short story by itself. So that's the story of these two books. I am also a co-founder of a local all-female theatre troupe called Salted Egg Theatre. I'm one of the playwrights at this theatre company, and we recently had a production called Sticky Ladies. So you can follow us at Fifi Gets Real on Instagram for updates on future productions, and so on. I am also an editor, newly an editor at Heartwrite Co., which is, like I said, a local independent publishing company. And we have a bunch of books in bookstores as well. So there's obviously this one, which is an illustrated story in French, which can be read by children and adults alike. We also have a collection of poetry, Flowers in the Chakrawala, which is by Haris Fadila, and look how pretty. And we have a halal romance called Jewel, which is by Aisha Malik, and all of these books are available in local bookstores, or you can follow us on Instagram at heartwrite.co for more information on other books that we'll be publishing this year or shortly. So thank you again to Creativate for inviting me to answer these questions, and happy Children's Book Month.